Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Jeanne Thill, and on today's show, we're visiting with Bill and Linda Ebbinga from Parishioners from Griswold, and you met them a while back, and
we
you were inspired.
In recent months, and
we're going to visit with them.
Their story is very captivating, and so we're grateful to them to making time for us on a glorious fall day, Saturday. The farmers have already been out in the fields harvesting, and that will continue, and it seems like the weather is working in their favor on many fronts. So Saturday, when I'll be gathering, it's Jeanne, as you know, the Seven Sisters, the great
we're very
prayer
excited.
Teams for many of our priests in our diocese. It's a national, actually an international movement.
Now,
in particular, that women dedicate an hour of the week in the holy hour for a priest. They're usually their parish priests, but perhaps others. And then you multiply it times 3 for me. So I
know. Morning, noon, and night we're praying for you.
I feel it, too. And so that is a great source of hope and encouragement for me. And we'll break the Eucharistic bread together and then have a nice time together with a little Saturday morning brunch. So it'll be beautiful.
And, Bishop, I have to put in a plug. If there's somebody listening that they don't have a Seven Sisters in their parish, just reach out to Iowa Catholic Radio. I can connect them to the right people and help them get a Seven Sisters group going for their parish.
Always the networker, Jeanne. So thank you. And what better
they
network
don't know.
of spiritual
They don't know.
prayer.
So
and this is a little bit of a mystery because I haven't met all of the Seven Sisters.
I know we have some new ones.
Yeah. So hopefully we didn't burn out the other ones. But life goes on.
They move away.
Yeah,
they have
wonderful.
some health issues. So
wonderful. It's also the memorial for Pope John the 23rd, St. John the 23rd, canonized a couple of years ago by Pope Francis. That wonderful, beloved, good Pope John. I only have maybe less memory of him. I was a boy when he called the Vatican Council, Second Vatican Council, and others. But so many anecdotes about him, and I think for us Christians, kind of something, a mindful word, when as Angelo Roncalli, who would later become Pope John the 23rd, was papal nuncio to France after World War II. He was invited to a dinner party at this party in France, seated across the table from a woman whose décolletage was on display for all to see.
Oh, my goodness.
Someone near him said, "Isn't it a scandal, Monseigneur, when a woman wears a low-cut dress? Everyone's looking at her." "Oh, no," replied Roncalli. "When there's a woman with a plunging neckline, they don't look at her. They're looking at the nuncio to see how he's taking it." So
well, there you go.
People are looking at our gaze, and what is it that we're focused on? And are we looking at only those things that draw us into fear, darkness, and divide our hearts? Are we reflecting the light of Christ? Are we each in our own light ambassadors of hope? And that's our call in a particular way. So we look for signs of hope. October provides us so many glimmers. We'll be at Sacred Heart West Des Moines for confirmation tomorrow. We'll have a special moment in the life of our diocesan church as Victoria Carver, known to many folks within the Des Moines Metro in particular, a woman whose life story, mother, grandmother, freely admitted a recovering alcoholic. We once heard someone describe an alcoholic as a recovering mystic, if you will, or a frustrated mystic, I should say. But when recovery happens, it's kind of like there's resurrection. And that mysticism has led her in a path that ultimately mutual discernment on the part of the diocese, myself, and others wise people who've helped to guide me. She's going to become a diocesan hermit. There's a provision in canon law for this. Other dioceses have embraced this. And so on Thursday night at 5 p.m. at the Basilica of St. John here in Des Moines, she will be consecrated a diocesan hermit, taking the vows and making a particular rule of light that she will be adopting. And so her hermitage, her home, she will remain there. There will be people who will come to her, sometimes for spiritual guidance and counsel, but the life primarily devoted to prayer and being a hidden life, a life of prayer that as she sits at the feet of Christ, adoring and learning from him, receiving all that he wants to give her in openness, vulnerability, gratitude, and attentiveness, receiving others as well, but being then, as people know her, a visible sign to the world in her simplicity and at the bidding of Christ, and her docility, not only to the Holy Spirit, but her obedience to her local shepherd.
May we all be so docile. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we will be visiting with Bill and Linda Ebbinga, parishioners from Griswold, Iowa, and their story. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. And on today's show, we're visiting with Bill and Linda Ebbinga, parishioners from Griswold, Iowa.
Our Lady of Grace Parish there in
Yes.
Griswold. And, that's the church and the dynamism of the Spirit. But I'm so pleased. We had a gathering and a little, I think it was a potluck meal a couple years ago, and met with parish leadership and everything else. And lo and behold, I sit next to Linda and Bill, and they start telling their story. And so thank you for being willing to actually realize this hope we've had that you would join us on Making It Personal. So, Linda, maybe just a little background, and then we'll kind of lead up to the moment where the two of you met. And lo and behold, God is full of wonderful surprises as love blossoms. So,
okay. Well, I was a mother of 8, widowed in 1982. My dear husband, Chuck, and I was busy with the kids. I wasn't looking for quite a while till my oldest was in college. And
so you're widowed with 8 children, and then you're confronted with how am I going to provide for them and continue to manage the household? What were
Holy moly!
Yeah, I mean, were you kind of in shock? Was it your life in a spin, or how did you cope with that?
They had an agreement between he and his brother because they farmed and they had a lot of cattle, and if one couldn't farm, or the worst scenario that they had died, that the other one would buy out the other half, the widow or widower, whatever the case would be, to help them to go on. And so that money was spent raising the kids, and I didn't have to work, not till...
Or we should say work outside the home. I mean, being a mom to 8 people.
Yeah, I'm a nurse, so I had a vocation, which is always a blessing to know if you have something to fall back on. Till he was, my second youngest was in high school, that I started back doing some home health care and that. And then also went to Creighton to see if I could finish the RN to a BSN, and I went there a year and a half part-time, how you could do.
Yeah.
And then...
So you were farming in Cass County then? The farm was?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were just real close to Lewis, Iowa. But at that time, I was at St. Peter and Paul's because I wanted the kids to see their uncles and aunts, because the kids were really little when my husband died, 11 and a half to be born in 4 months.
Oh, my.
So
Well, what a blessing that your husband and his brother had this arrangement.
Yes,
because, they don't have that foresight to know that this is going to happen, but they did have that foresight to be able to.
About 5 years before he got sick, yeah. Yeah. And so I asked the Lord to fill in where I was lacking, and he did, I think, because they've all turned out. They've all went to college, which is wonderful, and worked themselves through in scholarships and academics and things.
Well, if their mom could complete her RN, then hey, you're setting the bar high for them, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had my RN before I married, but I was trying to get the BSN.
Excuse me, the BSN, yes.
No, that's okay.
I do know the distinction. So.
Yeah. Oh, of course you do.
Well, were you, as a non-traditional student, you were with standard college age young people? Did they take you under their wing, or did you feel like you were?
Oh, it was great. They would open the doors thinking I was one of the teachers.
Well, you had a lot of wisdom to convey. So.
Linda, I bet you went from having 8 kids to having several hundred kids. They kind of looked at you as a mom.
There you go. Right. I was the right age, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Saints Peter and Paul was your parish, and so.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I want to get to our meeting.
She wants to fast forward, Bishop, to when you met her.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, fast forward to get into, and I thought, well, maybe the rest of my life, the kids. I didn't know till later they were worried about me living in this. We have a big house for all of those 8 kids, living alone in this big house on the farm. And in fact, I still live here with my Bill. But anyway, So I went online, and I thought Catholic Singles would be a safe place to go. So I went to CatholicSingles.com, and I put in my bio. And then I would look and see if anybody would write. And then I've got a kind of an informational one on someone from Brookings, South Dakota. And I thought, oh, you worked in aviation, and my middle son almost, Tom, he loves aviation. He's instructor, and now he's working for a private company flying airplanes. But this one was an aviator too, and I thought, well, he's working for SDSU, so it sounds
South Dakota State University, yeah,
right. And so then I wrote back to him, and then we started writing in October of 2002. So and then we wrote for quite a while. Bill, you want to tell him how you thought, well, maybe we better meet?
We need to hear from Bill here. Get his side of it.
No, go ahead, dear.
No, Bill, we're not going to let you off here. It's your turn.
He said, this is, and he said, well, he realized the long distance, it had to be about 4.5 to 5 hour drive down here. And he thought, well, I'm just going to go meet her to see if this is all worth it. And so
he wasn't permitted to take the university plane and just zip down for a 45-minute
flight. No, that was the rules.
Okay. Oh, the man wants to tell you what to do there. Yeah. Okay. So you drove down?
So we drove down, and we met at St. Peter and Paul's for Mass, and we sat together, and then I had planned a dinner at F.S. Martin House for us to visit, and the Holy Spirit must work through all of this because we were the only visitors that day, that noon. From about noon to 3 o'clock, we visited there and had a nice meal together, and still got the big bill.
my part, I had to do something.
Yeah.
Can you remember were your hearts kind of quickening, a little nervous, a little excited?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, the blush of
love.
I
was sitting there, and he had a short sleeve shirt on, and I had a rather short sleeve jacket over my dress, and my arm touched his, and I didn't pull away when we were in Mass, and I thought, gee, it just seems so right. I'm not going to pull away. And he could sing, Bishop. And my late husband didn't
a Catholic who can sing. Take note.
You better marry him right away.
And I mean, he wanted to sing, I think, and he did. He was just so, kind of brave of him, I think, to know that whatever happened, he was going to sing. And then we went over, like I said, to lunch, and we visited for a long time. We had the history of Atlantic there, a book we were looking at together, and talked about our family. He has 5 of his own, and I had the 8, so we had a lucky 13 and met on the 13th. So that's kind of our lucky number.
Bill, had you been widowed for a while yourself, or more recent?
I lost my first wife to cancer, but I'd only been widowed for a couple of years. But it was by chance this online Catholic dating I saw on the back of our bulletin from the parish up in Brookings, South Dakota. And I thought, why not give it a chance? What can it hurt?
Your kids weren't pushing you to find somebody. This was your own initiative.
No. And both of our families have accepted Linda or me. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And one of my daughters even calls him Dad, which is one. It's a term that you earn, and he earned it. He's a great fixer. Anything that my other daughter here in Atlantic that's closer has different projects. He'll do them and fix chairs, whatever.
So your honeydew list is expanded, Bill, then, huh?
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Yes. And since we have, we were trying to figure it out. I think we have 34 grandchildren, And there's either 4 or 5 great-grandsons and 1 great-granddaughter now.
Wow,
Yes.
beautiful.
What a blessing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could I take a little
wrote him
sidestep here? Just I don't want to
Yeah.
get off because this is flowing so nicely. But Bill, fascinating to me, and Linda talks about your aviation. How your aviation career. Had you been in the military, and then you don't just decide to fly planes, but build planes too.
Well, I was when I went in the military, I went to an aviation maintenance school out in Illinois. But there they taught me how to work on bombers, big airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to California and I was stationed out there, I went to work for a small airplane manufacturer that was building airplanes out there part-time. I worked for Ray Stitz out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got into the light aircraft industry. Mm-hmm. And I've been involved in that for now, 60 years now.
So
everywhere.
You were at the beck and call of the university administration, the athletic department. I mean, you're doing that.
Yeah. That was the last. I flew for the college for 15 years as chief pilot. Mm-hmm. But I flew everybody connected with the state of South Dakota and the university.
Okay. Wow. And,
sheriffs, welfare people, everybody.
Foundation.
And the weather's always fair in South Dakota, right? There are never any storms.
Oh, yes. There's never any. You don't realize how much fun it is until you got ice covering the windshield and the wings. And you can't see where you're going. And other than that,
it's great.
Oh, I'm glad you've got instrument rating. So putting your guardian angel on the back.
Oh, yeah. Well, I better have a whole mess of them a couple times because they got pretty hairy.
So, Linda, has he ever taken you up for a spin in one of his planes?
Linda?
Oh, sure. We have flown up to Tammy's in Hudson, Wisconsin.
Okay.
A couple of times.
We have an airplane. We do have.
We have an airplane. Yeah. The airplane that he put together himself from 2. What were they again, Bill?
Cessna 175.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 Cessnas made one a good Cessna.
And 2 shall become 1. Huh.
Yeah, there you are.
So if someone were to come to you and say, "Hey, Bill, would you build me a plane?" How long would the wait be?
I have been working on one for a lady in Omaha right now for, part-time. I don't do it 8 hours a day anymore, but about 2.5 years now I've been working for her.
Wow.
It takes a lot of patience, and when you start making parts, they're delicate, I guess would be the word. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of standards and parameters that you have to meet in order for it to go into an airplane to start with.
So you do your own fabrication?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Of course, Jean. Doesn't everybody?
Well, I used to, but I gave it up for Lent.
No, I've recovered everything. I just did a small project for a friend of mine, and it was called a flying bathtub, and that was originally built back in 1923, and we got it up and flying again.
Wow. Well, does it take a little bit of faith to do this? Or obviously
and a lot of
practical skill, but yeah. So your parishes...
Keep the store clean.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Somebody's got to do that for us. You still have the connection with St. Peter and Paul, but Our Lady of Grace as well. How does that flow? You kind of alternate, or it depends on what's going on with the grandkids, or and talk about how your faith has been evolved to maybe the next phase, through your love for each other. Linda, maybe I'll ask
you. Linda.
Well, I've belonged to St. Peter and Paul. I said, ever since I moved down here from Erling. That was my home parish before I married Chuck.
St. Joseph.
And although we got married up there in St. Joseph's in Erling, but I wanted the kids to see their aunts and uncles and witness to their faith. And we have a big extended family because Chuck was one of 10. And so we decided to support Griswold because we're like 5 miles from Griswold and 18 from Atlantic. So really, I guess if they drew lines, we'd be down here. Mm-hmm. And so we go Tuesdays. Well, when Father Berner was there, it was Monday. We go Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday to daily Mass, and then Sunday to 10 o'clock. And since Sunday Mass was eliminated, we loved Sunday Mass, so we go to Sunday Mass in St. Peter and Paul's.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to pause there. We've reached that point where we need to allow the Sarans, our sponsors, who to have their moment. But
yes.
We'll be back with you in a moment then.
We will be back with Bill and Linda Ebbinga, parishioners from Griswold, Iowa. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
And so, Linda, you're kind of sharing, kind of straddling the parishes and, that they'll be belonging to both those communities, keeping your connections alive there as well. Where you with Griswold, a school district that draws from a broad footprint of folks in various places. And you've continued that vocation of healthcare a little bit, haven't you, recently, Linda?
Yes. I don't know if I said this on the radio, but I have been subbing as a school nurse down in Griswold, kindergarten through 12th under one big roof. So it's a challenge, but it's very rewarding.
And what a range of little kids to big kids that you have to help. The little ones come with a little sniffle, and the big ones, who knows?
Oh, right. And, wait till after recess time to get an onslaught.
Band-Aids ready.
Yeah. Do you find it is as much a practice of medicine as it's being a listening ear, a counselor, an encourager, an accompanier?
Absolutely. One time they gave me the compliment. It says, "You listen to me more than my mom," and I about cried to hear that. Yeah. But it is a nurse has a caring heart, or she wouldn't be in that profession. I respect every nurse I ever knew.
I'm with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Linda, you also say you kind of have a artistic soul here, that you kind of frame things. I don't know if you write love poems to Bill or not, but I need a poem a day here. So would you have something to share with us?
Okay, yes. I'm dedicated to my groom. There was a man from the city of Brookings who got on the internet, Catholic Singles, and started looking for some companionship one fine day and came across a lady called Creighton Blue Jay. When they met many months later in July 2003, what a treasure they found that they couldn't deny. He sang Lady to her after memorizing each line. How beautiful to know that many years later, he is still mine. The Lord had a special plan for us. Each new grandchild has a grandpa plus. I thank the Lord so many times that he brought him into my life and is the cause of this rhyme.
Well, that's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Bill, are you tearing up when you hear this?
Oh, yeah. I'm slobbering all over.
Well, no, I mean, it just to be around you, you just sense the affection, the respect, the dignity and grace. I mean, do you sometimes just wake up and say, "My Lord, you are full of surprises"?
And once in a while, we'll say to each other, "What if we never met? Mm-hmm. What would we be doing now?" And it looks grim not having him. Mm-hmm. So we think, when the Lord calls us, it'll be hard, but we'll be thankful for these years. Because I only had Chuck 13 and a half years, and now I've got him 21 and a half years. So it's like a double gift back to send that this world is wonderful, and there's meaning to it.
And I'm going to ask, and we're down into our last minute here. I mean, there's poetry, there's song, there's roses and chocolates maybe, But is the cross? What would be one aspect of the cross that you both embrace with each other? We only have about 45 seconds. Either Bill or Linda.
Well, I think the main thing was that we met in church, and when she walked across the parking lot, and I asked her, "Are you looking for somebody special?" And she said yes. And the good Lord had to put us together, because otherwise somebody from South Dakota would have never ended up with such an amazing lady.
Oh, my.
That's right. Well, this has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thanks to our guests and to all of our listeners in Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Missouri, or wherever you may be listening, to the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.